Yes, you lovely people, if you're not already, make sure you give us a follow over on Spotify.
This is how young and dumb and innocent I was. So I signed for Man Utd and I've got the scarf and all the shaking hands with Sir Alex Ferguson, and I'm wearing city colors. Like Scholes, he's kind of like this diminutive character.
Yeah.
He'll scowl at you. He'll smash the ball off your face if you're a goalkeeper. He won't even try and tuck it in the corner. You can't really work him out.
Yeah.
Because you want to give him a bit and you want to kind of have a laugh with him. And he doesn't want to do either. And you're thinking, I give up. On the bench, they flashed to me and I'd clap. I could care less. I want the team to get beat. Because the only way I can get my position back. In the paper, you're getting low marks. Everyone's talking bad about you. And I'm sitting there, and David Moyes is naming the team. And in my head, I'm thinking, don't say my name, Gafford. Don't say my name. Like, I don't want to go out there. Yeah. We had some wrong-ins at Everton as well, and I think those are the ones that stood out more than anything. Like, he ends up coming to the training ground in the middle of the night with, like, friends, and they're in the hot tub. And it's just like, you're just thinking, like, wow, you could write a book on that.
Hello everybody, welcome to a very special Fozcast. Not only is it a goalkeeping podcast, which, you know, everybody loves the goalkeeping podcast. They are the best ones. But we are here out in America, Philadelphia to be exact. So welcome to Tim Howard. Tim, welcome, mate.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's good chatting with you again today, and just an amazing day. Philadelphia, it's such a crazy city.
It is a crazy city. Right, so let me put a little bit of context about where we are and why we're here. So we have come out with Nike and the Premier League. You see, basically, it's like a roadshow. They take it out, and it's like Premier League mornings. They have all the games on there. It's like a real like festival of celebrating the Premier League. Because though of the time difference, it's a real early start. So like fans are arriving, no joke, at like 3 or 4 in the morning, aren't they? It's absolutely bonkers. But still, the vibe is incredible, isn't it?
I think it's because of that the vibe's incredible. You know, these are fans that watch our show religiously every weekend, and as you said, it's become a different sort of following because our followers follow the Premier League through the television, through our show because America's so big, at 4 o'clock in the morning if you're on the West Coast, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning if you're on the East Coast. So they're up at all hours. You know, it really is a special kind of bond. So when we're able to do these fan fests, it's like a rite of passage. They have to come. They queue up in the middle of the night to make sure they get through the door. And you want to talk about passion. It's so incredibly awesome.
Like the amount of people we've seen today, not one person said to me, Tim, I'm so tired, or this is like so long. But everybody was just buzzing about the fact that they've either travelled through the night, they've took a flight here. The energy was outrageous. Like I say, there was a few people. So basically, the queue started from about 3 in the morning. All right, the gates opened 6:30, 7ish. 6ish, 7ish, and from the moment we got there, wow, it was just like music was pumping. It's a different world, isn't it?
DJ was spinning at like
this is what
7
it's like,
a.m.
Out in America, it's just cool. Let's crack on, have a nice time.
You were on the pitch, so they had like a Nike arena, and Ben was doing some sessions.
Yeah.
So you were on the pitch like early doors, and then when you came out. You've only been retired a few weeks, mate.
No, so we did a few things with the kids and stuff, playing football. I was sweating my back out, Tim. I was absolutely sweating my back out. We did an interview on the Nike Arena as well, didn't we? Yeah. So there's me in my sweaty Nike outfit. Tim was looking $1 million, everybody, honestly. He was looking $1 million.
Well, as you said, it starts early. Like we don't coast into the show. Like the show starts, we're on air, DJ's buzzing, everyone's bouncing. I mean, they're yelling and screaming. I don't even know how they get the permit because obviously the neighbors would be woken up. But it's a good show, and that vibe just gets bigger and better throughout the day. Like they never tail off. They never get drained of energy. As you said, they're there for a reason, and they're buzzing off it.
So talk to me about the perception of the Premier League in America now. I can imagine 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was there, it's getting there, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. But now it seems like it's really taking off now.
Yeah, and I think NBC had an idea, and they were so innovative with that idea. They knew that the time slot was like nothing else. In America, we have 18,000 different sports, and they understood that at 5 o'clock in the morning, there is no sports, right? And they really nailed it. And they nailed the audience, and they catered to the audience. And what we found is that the American audience, Premier League audience, football audience is so educated now, and they don't want to be spoken to as uneducated American audience. They want to be spoken to as football people. and NBC has done such a good job of like understanding the pulse of that. And I mean, I'm telling you, they are so passionate about their teams, and it's a different sort of fandom because, as we know, playing in England, you're brought into it. You don't have a choice in the matter. Your granddad supported the team. Your grandma, grandparents, mom, dad, they supported the team.
Deep rooted is the word, isn't it?
Deep rooted. It is.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a choice in that. A lot of American fans have a choice because of a player a U.S. player that goes over and plays at Leeds or Everton or Fulham or wherever, any club, or they like a club for whatever reason.
Could be the shirt or
could be the
something
shirt,
like
could be
that.
anything,
Yeah.
and then they pile into it with everything they have, very American, and so they become these incredibly educated, passionate fans, and you can't take that away from them. And so again, it's part of who we are. We do it a little bit differently, but it's ours.
So we'll put some videos on Spotify and on YouTube of what it actually looks like in the fan festivals, okay? Do you ever think we could get to the stage in the UK, back home, where we have these fan fests, where it's a mix of all different fans, all different walks of life, everybody, though, just having a good time? So, because today, for example, there was not one little hint of trouble,
Ben,
violence, nothing.
There was, for Wolves Forest, there was like a group of 12 Wolves fans, right? Yeah. And I walked past and I think, how are you Wolves fans? Like, why are you Wolves fans?
Yeah.
And there was like a group of 20 Bournemouth fans, and I'm thinking, where's the connection
there
there?
Were a lot of Bournemouth fans.
But then they're stood next to a group of 20 Forest fans.
Yeah.
Like,
and no thing.
In the UK, that's not happening.
Well, it's a funny question because I think you know the answer. It will never happen. We use the analogy off camera. Like you ring the Manchester police and tell them you want to have a fan festival in the middle of Manchester
for football.
For football, they'd be like, "We'll never give you a permit. We're going to arrest you for even making this phone call." And so it's different. I played for Everton for 10 years, and I see people there, even in Liverpool shirts, and they're chanting my name and they're saying it, and I'm thinking, last time they chanted about me in a Liverpool shirt in Liverpool, they weren't saying my name. You know what I mean? So it's different. It's special.
They would have been chanting your name, but it would have been Tim Howard is or Tim How are you?
Something to follow it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it's good. It's great.
Ben, today this was irony, right? And this really made me smile. I saw you signing a Wolves shirt.
Yeah, you've got to get in the spirit of it,
I saw you signing.
I don't believe it. If it's not on camera, it never happened.
Exactly.
I got it on camera, Tim. I got it on camera.
Nobody cares. Like out here, it's not a thing, though, is it?
Yeah,
Nobody
true.
cares. Everybody just wants to have a nice time. Watch some Premier League football.
But the day itself, though, like today, we knew it was going to be good, right?
Yeah.
So we've come out thinking this is going to be a good show. We were bowled over, weren't we?
Bowled over. Right, come on, let's talk about Tim Howard, the career, okay?
All right, let's do it.
Over 700 career games, 121 USA caps. My gosh, that's incredible. I'm going to start in 2003, though, okay? Mm-hmm. So you're playing for Metro Stars out in the MLS. Then all of a sudden you get the call that will change your life. Yeah. Talk to me exactly about how that feels when somebody like Man United picks up the phones and gets in touch.
Well, you were at Man United as well. You understand what that feels like. The simple story is I was a young professional. I was doing pretty well in the MLS. I just cracked into the national team. When I say that, the full national team, I was like the third or fourth keeper in like a mid-January camp, and my hotel phone rings or something like that, and it was a goalkeeper coach from Man United saying like, "Hey, there's a goalkeeper coach from Man United and so and so, and we like you. We want to keep an eye on you." And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is a prank. Like, there's no way this is real. And if it is real, it's amazing. I can live off that. You don't have to sign me. I can just tell my grandkids, like, Man United called. And then, they just watched me a bit. They flew over, watched the national team game. I wasn't playing many at the time because, like I said, I was third, fourth choice. Did okay, and the rest is history. So it's a bit weird. I'll never know how it really came about because I'm just some kid, and it's Man United. They can have any goalkeeper in the world. At the time, they had Fabian Barthez in goal. Like, what the heck are they doing scouting me? But it is what it is, and I was happy for the opportunity.
So when you went over and signed that contract, what we always say to people, like, what did you do that day? Like, what did you do that night? Like, what happened?
I pinched myself because I couldn't believe where I was. It started to sink in a little bit because I actually put pen to paper, but like I'm still at that point thinking this is surreal, and this is how young and dumb and innocent I was. Turned up, So I'm playing for the Metro Stars. I'm in Boston. We're playing the Revolution. I know that's my last game. And then in the days to come, I'm going to travel to Manchester to sign. So I thought, right, I'm going to go to Macy's. I'm going to get myself a nice shirt and tie combination to go with this big baggy suit that I had. It's going to be great. So I get this nice light blue shirt. You'll get the iron in a second. I got this nice blue shirt, light blue shirt, and my tie was beautiful. It had these diagonal navy blue, white, and light blue stripes. I thought, I've nailed it. That looks great. And I've turned up, and someone only told me a couple of days later that said, those are Manchester City colors, you know. So I signed for Man United, and I've got the scarf and all the shaking hands with Sir Alex Ferguson, and I'm wearing City colors. And that, I mean, if
Was
that
your
doesn't
tie
sound-
basically the same sort of colour as that?
It was this.
You're not allowed to touch that, by the way.
That's
By
fine.
the way, we haven't even referenced the fact that we've got the Premier League trophy sitting.
in there.
Like, that is quite literally the Premier League trophy. So we've got two security guards over here, Tony and Ellis. All right, boys. John and Ellis. John, sorry.
Ben, that's
Well,
shambolic.
Tony, John, it doesn't matter. Either way, they're going to knock us out if we touch that.
You had the boys, by the way. They've absolutely hooked us up by putting this behind us.
And you've called them the wrong names, and I said it was the FA Cup earlier on, and John's nearly taken my head off. I swear to God.
So you go. We love the thing of what do you do that night? You know what I mean? When you've just signed the big contract, but I know it must be a bit different to you because it must have been such a whirlwind thing. And you say you're being about young, dumb, and all that kind of stuff. But I think sometimes that's the best place to be because you just don't know what's happening.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, you don't, and it's, I like when young players, there's a naivety about young players. They don't know what the old Grizzly veterans know. They don't know what's behind the door. You know, we're when you get older and experienced, you've been knocked down a few times. You get a bit fearful. When you're young, I was raring to go. I was excited. I was nervous, but I was like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. So yeah, it was special.
So what was it like that first season? So obviously hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You absolutely hit the ground running. Won the goalkeeper of the year. I think you won the FA Cup that season.
Yeah.
So what was that season like? So that I just want to kind of reference the players that you're playing with at this time. So this is United in their pomp, by the way. This is United just about to go on and win everything from this moment on. So you're talking Ronaldo and Scholesy, Giggsy, Rio, all those kind of guys. How sort of eye-opening was that? With the quality change from going MLS to boom, Man United?
It was huge. I had so many hard lessons to learn about how to carry myself as a professional, how to do it the Manchester United way as well, which was tippy top at that point in time in Europe. You know, there was only the biggest club in the world. Yeah. You know, and every year Champions League semifinal playing in Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. So I had so much to learn. I learned some tough lessons. I got a talking to from Sir Alex Ferguson my first game. I got Roy Keane screaming down the back of my neck. And it's such a hard time. And I remember the first year I was on pure adrenaline. I was raw. I was a raw goalkeeper. I didn't have a good catching technique and all the rest of it. I was just a raw, athletic, good young goalkeeper. And I honestly, I just lived off that. I was aggressive. I tried to make aggressive mistakes because I knew I had so much to learn. But that was in the years to come. So I literally just going off adrenaline. You also don't forget the MLS season starts in January. So I had been playing 6 months.
Solidly, yeah.
So by the time I got to United and did a full preseason again, I played for 18 months straight. You know,
Wow.
and it just be and in fairness, Sir Alex Ferguson knew that, and he took me out of the team at times. But yeah, it was difficult, but it set the foundation for the career that I ended up having, and I'm so thankful that I was able to get that early on.
Yeah. What was it like working with Tony Coton? Because we both worked with Tony. I just loved it. I did.
He was brilliant. He was a brilliant goalkeeper trainer. I mean, he had been through the ranks as a kid and as a senior pro, and he knew it. You know, he was a proper old school goalkeeper trainer.
He was,
So it was really, really good.
And what
really
about
at that time?
And what about when you? What about the adjustment? So obviously you're a young man and you're coming over. You're a long way from home. Did that affect you? Did you have family come over with you?
Yeah. So literally, I got married just as I was getting ready to head over and sign for Manchester United. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a life change, really. I'm married. We're getting a house for the first time in Manchester. Wow. It's just like
growing up. You're just growing up in one go.
It happened in the blink of an eye. So it was kind of a lot on my shoulders. But again, I was fully focused at that time. I was like, this is what I've always wanted. And I knew that. And so, yeah, a ton of life adjustments. I mean, as you said, growing up, like it's all happening.
Yeah.
You're learning how to be a proper senior pro at the highest level. you go to a new country, just married, like everything that adulthood is happened in the blink of an eye.
Talk to me about a young Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm talking like young, still yellow teeth, not been perfectly manicured Cristiano Ronaldo. What was he like? Could you see the potential to be what he became?
You know, I always say about Cristiano, the work ethic was always there.
Yeah.
And I don't even care what the reason for the work ethic was. Was it vanity? Was it wanting to be a superstar? I don't know. But he worked his socks off. I mean, like, anytime I'm able to tell the story, people always see like the car commercials and underwear commercials and fragrance commercials. Like, forget all that. He works, I mean, tirelessly in order to be at that level. The amount of sleep he gets, what he puts in his body from a nutrition standpoint. He's always in the gym. He's always looking after himself with a physio. Like, he's always on the pitch when everybody leaves. Like, it's a joke. It's no surprise that you put that work ethic with that talent. I mean, greatest player ever.
And give me some words about Scholesy, because as soon as I signed, the one standout player, and like I say, this is Man United in their pomp, by the way. Yeah. This is them just about to go and win everything. Scholesy stood out head and shoulders above everybody still.
Yeah, look, I think you and I know the same thing. Scholesy never wanted the spotlight. He didn't puff his chest out like players who want the spotlight, but he's got to go down as one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, and that's as much praise as he's got. He was, as you said, you talk about the best Man United teams, the treble-winning teams. He was still one of the best technicians on the pitch in any game. You could play Juventus, you could play Barcelona. It's frightening how good he was, yet he flies under the radar a little bit.
I know. He was just ruthless, wasn't he? Yeah. I just remember him in training, like, when he got a chance, he was not holding back ever. It was just, he would give you it and he would strike it so clean.
Yeah.
He was just brilliant.
You could never work him out, could you? Like, Scholesy, kind of like this diminutive character, doesn't want the spotlight, doesn't really want a bit of crack and a bit of banter, and yet you put a tackle in, he'll scowl at you, he'll smash the ball off your face if you're a goalkeeper. He won't even try and tuck it in the corner. And you're thinking,
and he won't say sorry.
No, he won't say sorry.
Say sorry.
So you can't really work him out.
Yeah,
because you want to give him a bit, and you want to kind of have a laugh with him, and he doesn't want to do either. And you're thinking, I give up.
Was there any players at United? But question for both of you. So obviously everyone knew at that time how good Scholesy was. Was there any players that you went in, you went, wow, I didn't realise you were that good? Like, any players that surprised you? They're all good at United, but was there any ones that you thought, you're even better than I thought?
I think I'll go first, and then you can have a think while you're saying it. But the players who I think surprised me the most was probably someone like Darren Fletcher, or even like a John O'Shea, that probably won't ever get mentioned in the history of Man United as being one of their top players, the best players. But they honestly found a way, and Sir Alex Ferguson found a way as well of getting this out of them, and then they did it on the pitch as well. Yeah. And they would fill in, and they would slot in, and they would play in all sorts of positions, wouldn't they? Yeah. But they could do the job. And it's like they knew that the players around them were better than them, but they would work their socks off. Probably a little bit harder, but they were amazing at what they managed to do at that time.
Wow.
But that's the genius, and I'm going to forget names, but that's the genius of Sir Alex Ferguson, because you look at the treble-winning team that he built, probably the one before that, the team you and I played in. And then he always had players that might not even get on a team sheet at like other clubs. Yeah, but big game. Phil Neville, and Phil chopped my head off for saying this, right? Like, there was a big game. It was Man United Arsenal. You know the first name on the team sheet? Phil Neville, because he was going to do a job. Yeah. It was a big game. It was a big moment. He was going to pass the ball to a red shirt, and he was going to play solid. So John O'Shea, Quentin Fortune, the Darren Fletcher. As much as Fergie over the years always recruited well and had the world's best players, he always had his lieutenants as well. He always had players.
Even Jason Park.
Jason
Park, don't get me wrong, still a really good player, proper player. Yeah. I can't put him down like that, but he knew what he was going to get from Jason Park. So the big games, G was starting.
He played Ferguson always played them in the massive games. Correct. He always played Darren Fletcher, Jason Park. Boom. They were the two big boys all the time.
In the big games, in the big moments when he needed. When he didn't need a 10 performance, but he needed a solid 7 or 8. Yeah. He was getting that. For me though, when you talk about the one standout player, never saw it before clearly, never saw it again, and I don't know if I'll ever see it. But Roy Keane, as a captain, he just was. He was cut from a different cloth. He saw the game in a way. How you're supposed to be a footballer. What a footballer is supposed to do and act. He did it.
Yeah.
He did it. He was, ruthless isn't the word. He was the epitome of a captain, of putting the club first, of always competing. You know that.
Yeah.
Always competing in training, always caring about winning. I lean on him all the time. I still text with him, and he's just like he was a savage. He was an absolute savage. A brilliant footballer as well, by the way. But
really good.
But you couldn't care more than he cared. He was an amazing captain.
You couldn't find a chink in his armor, could you? Like, he never had a day off, ever. So when he's at football, he was on it, and he was just horrible and scary.
But
he was incredible.
Did he? Because you said about caring and whatnot. Did he care, not from a protective element, because if someone was to go after one of his players, he'd be in there. But did he care on like a personal level as a team captain for the players underneath him?
It's funny you say this. So most players, I was deathly afraid of him. I've learned that he's just he's an amazing human being, but I was deathly afraid of him. And I remember first year, seeing what I saw in training, he probably laid into me as well. And then my missus ended up traveling back to the States, and I was on my own for like a week, and he said, Teresa's going to cook dinner. You want to come over and have a bit of dinner? And I was like, I think I came up with an excuse, because I was like, I can't go have dinner. He was like, there's no way I'm having dinner at your house. I'm frightened to death of you. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he cares a lot.
I love that. All right, so going to fast forward to 2006. So this is a season Edwin van der Sar signed. Okay, so this is when I signed in that year as well. Edwin van der Sar signed. When another goalkeeper, when you're kind of the first choice goalkeeper, I think it was you and
Roy Carroll,
sorry, at the time. When a goalie, someone like Van der Sar, starts getting linked with the club, and he's coming in, do you kind of just think, the writing's on the wall? You can just sort of see what's coming, or do you think, no, do you know what? I'm up for this. I'm going to go for this.
No, I think I don't believe in any goalkeeping myths. I don't. Because I've lived it, and I've busted all those myths, good and bad. I can tell you from experience, no goalkeepers ever pushed me.
Yeah.
When I was at Everton and I was the number one for 10 years, and I saw someone comes in to bring competition. No, they don't. Because if I'm my best on my day, if I start focusing on what you're doing, I lose focus on me. Never.
Yeah.
If another goalkeeper played, I wanted him to get pumped. I could care. That's my position.
Yeah.
On the bench, they'd flash to me and I'd clap. I could care less. I want the team to get beat, because the only way I can get my position
back in. You wanted to play.
Yeah, and so when Edwin came, even though I was young, I knew things weren't great for me at United, and I knew why he was one of the best in the world. And so Alex Ferguson, he rang me, and to be fair, he didn't really sugarcoat it. He said, like, bringing Edwin in for a bit of experience and blah blah blah, and then the rest was a bit of a blur, because I didn't believe any of the rest of it.
As soon as you hear those first words, that's it. That'll do.
Yeah, I understood. Yeah. It was great. It was great for me. I learned so much from Edwin, technique-wise. He's a brilliant technique as a goalkeeper, and a lot of it in the hands position and all that. Just from watching him in training and going behind him and doing drills, I learned so much. And I credit a lot to him.
He just knew how to be a goalie, didn't he? He just knew how to be a goalie.
Yeah.
It's lovely, isn't it?
He was top goalkeeper.
Lovely bloke as well, wasn't he?
Was.
Like, he would breeze in every day.
Yeah,
Even his goalie was the same. He was just breezing in.
Because you came in at the same time as Edwin, didn't you?
Yeah, I came in
obviously
at the same,
that was you're coming in with a very different. You're young and raw, I guess, like when Tim came in.
I didn't get to see the dynamic because I was kind of farmed straight out on loan to Watford. And actually, funnily enough, that was the season when. So you've gone straight out on loan to Everton at that point.
Yes.
And then I've gone out on loan to Watford. We got promoted that season, and then the very first game of the next season was Watford against Everton.
Everton in the sunshine. I remember it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I remember it as well. 2-1 win for Everton, and I think it was Andy Johnson scored a deflected stinky.
It's amazing because we were doing our research, Tim, and I said to Ben, we looked at that. You had your phone out, didn't you? Looked at the stats, and we went. So you've got two Man United goalkeepers playing against each other, opening game, and neither one of them are playing for Man United.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Going back to Van der Sar quickly as well, he actually told me a story once as well. Where he said, Ben, I remember being at Juve, and he said, and I was doing really well. Got to the end of the season, just again done a fantastic season. He said, but at the start of the next season, we're getting linked with Gigi Buffon. And he says that I've gone in and said, listen, what's happening with Gigi? And they were like, well, we're not sure yet. You're not sure. He said a few days passed. £55 million. The deal's gone through. We've signed Gigi Buffon, and I've gone in straight back in again and gone like, guys, what's happening? Like, you know what I mean? What's happening with Gigi? And they've gone, listen, Edwin, like, don't worry about it. Okay, we're gonna judge it on merit. All right, we're gonna judge it on merit. And he's gone. You've just broke
52 million euros.
the world record for a goalkeeper. You spent 55 million euros, whatever, and you're saying you're gonna judge it on merit. All right,
yeah, sure.
True. You know, don't you? As soon as the writing's on the wall, you know.
Absolutely.
Get me out of there. Let me go out on loan and stuff. Right, so we signed for Everton. So, oh my God, I'm just looking at these Everton stats here, by the way. 200, how many games is it, Tomasi?
Everton 329.
329 appearances for Everton. But the one stat I love, all right, and this is massive, okay? 210 consecutive Premier League games for Everton. How do you manage to get yourself in a state, it must be the stage of your career, don't know what it is, you tell me, where you can play 210 games consecutively without getting injured or missing one? Loss of form, anything, you just do it every week.
Yeah, Ben, honestly, that's one of my favorite stats. It's the one that means the most to me. Being a good teammate, being accountable, being there every single week, that's massive to me. You going to play well in every game? Nah, you'll play well in a lot of them, you hope. That's why you play that many. Being able to be counted on, and I say to people all the time, there were times where, you know this, I'm preaching to the converted, your form's terrible. Every time the ball comes near you, Gladys Street, they're like, ooh, you're getting in the paper, you're getting low marks, everyone's talking bad about you. And I'm sitting there, and David Moyes is naming the team, and in my head I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, don't say my name, God, for Jesus, don't say my name. Like, I don't want to go out there. Yeah. Bang, Tim Howard. All right, well, got to muster up the courage and go out there again. And oddly enough, we had a cup replay against Oldham at home. This would snap this streak. And again, I try and look after myself, eat right, sleep right, do all the right things. There's a bit of luck involved as well. Shouting away and not coming for too many crosses and getting clattered. But funny story, bro. So I went up for a cross and I got undercut and I landed flat on my back. And I think it was Oldham, and I ended up struggling big time. Adrenaline wore off. Could barely get out of bed. Had an MRI. Had this test. I had that test. Nothing came back. I said to physio, I gotta be honest. We need more tests because this ain't right. And sure enough, I broke two non-weight bearing bones in my back.
Oh, you bugger.
And it broke the streak. But funny enough, because I was so. It wasn't even a streak because I didn't know the number at the time. But it was so this feeling of letting my team down because you've been there so many times. I said, like, I can make it. And also, for me, not playing wasn't an option. The physios knew, like, whatever's in that bag, give it to me. Get me to the match. I'll make it through. And I did a fitness test with my physio. Tell the story. I did a fitness test on Goodison Park pitch, and I'm trying to do a bit of this, and I even might like dove a little bit, and I just said, I finally was like, can't go today. And it was the first time in that many games. But I was so dialed in to being accountable and always being available that it never went through my mind not to be available. I've broken back. But.
So with like 210 games, that's 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Out of those games, what percentage of the time are you fully fit, like 90% to 100? Or within those 210 games, were there days where you got an injection or, you had a lot of anti-inflammatories? Like how
it's a good question. I don't know where the line is on this. You're never 100% fit.
Nobody is, are they? Ever.
You can't. I don't think the being a footballer merits. If you're asking me I got to be at training at pretty much every day. You're asking me to give full effort in training because that's what a good teammate does. That's what a top footballer does. And I have to prepare and be ready for the match. It's an impossibility that I'm going to be 100% every weekend. And so, I think you get through it. I think that if you listen, you learn a lot of lessons. And a dear friend of mine who's a physio said to me, and yes, it's tablets and injections, but he said to me that the one thing I don't have in my bag is adrenaline, and only the whistle will blow and you will get that, and adrenaline's a real drug.
You just read my mind. You tell your story in a second. I was literally about to ask you that exact question. Okay. Was adrenaline a thing that once that game kicked off on 3 o'clock on a Saturday, it was like the wonder drug?
Yeah, like, it is. And if you could bottle it and sell it, you'd never work another day in life because And I took that on board. My point is when I listened to my physio say that, and then I realized, wow, this is a real drug, this adrenaline. What it did, it then allowed me to get myself to the game. Say, oh, I don't feel great. I don't know if I can play. Yeah, but you won't actually know that until that whistle blows. If you can get yourself to that whistle, the rest will get you over the line. And so, yeah, it is. I don't know if you're ever fully fit. I think and everybody's different. We're all different human beings, because the bottom line is, we play with plenty of guys who they'd rule themselves out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
For various reasons. So.
That didn't matter what that injury was. It doesn't matter if they're ruling themselves on a Tuesday. It's because they don't want to play.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's not that's could be the injury, but I'd say that's more to do with the head. Like I say, I think you have to go out there on the Saturday and you have to wait till it's near enough kickoff, and then that's when you can make the decision, can't you? Because that's the only time when your body starts to fill with that little wonder drug of adrenaline, and you go, yeah, I'll do this today. And the amount of games that you get through, don't you, where you think, I didn't even feel it. I genuinely didn't even feel it.
It's true, and all, as well as adrenaline, maybe it's all part of the same. Fear is also an amazing thing, right? Because it's like when something hurts, and now you have the fear of performing and the fear of the crowd and what ifs. That it takes your mind off everything else, right? Because you're so incredibly focused.
Goalkeeping's a lonely place at times, isn't it? It's the loneliest. Like you said a minute ago there, where like you've had times where you're having bad performances, and it's week after week, just something bad happens to you, and you think, oh, God's sake, like I had to look that way around the defender, and he put it that way. And it's like, that's just my luck at this moment in time. How did you find the best way to get through those dark periods where just stuff was not going your way week after week?
Yeah. Look, another hard truth is simply this. You talk about all those games I played. There were what did I play, 700 some odd games. There were a couple hundred games where I always wanted my team to win, where I literally wasn't in a good run of form, and I just said my sole focus, Ben, was getting through the game.
Yeah.
Pass to a blue shirt.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
If it needs to go into rose egg, keep it simple. Don't come looking for crosses. It's better. I would have the conversation. It's better for Jags, Phil Jagielka or Sylvan Diston, to get out jumped and the guy to bury a header in the bottom corner than for me to come fishing for a cross again and then knock it in. So simple, basics. And if we lose 1-0 and I didn't make a mistake, I'm gonna put that in my back pocket as a good performance. And I had to get through a certain period of games until I found that form again.
Tim, you're a member of a exclusive little club in the
And
Premier
you wish
League.
you were in that club, Ben.
I'm in the opposite club. So what I'm talking about here is basically Tim has scored a Premier League goal. He has notched in the Premier League. It was my one thing that I wanted to do before I retired.
nearly did.
Like I say, I'm on the opposite side, but I've been scored past, right? It is not a nice feeling, but. So I want to know what it feels like to actually score. Like that's bonkers, isn't it? The goal was banging, by the way. It was so windy. It was a windy night in. Was it Wigan?
No,
was it at home?
It was at home. It was at home to Bolton. Yeah, gale force wind. And you have a rocket of a left foot. I'm surprised you didn't score. I don't know what it feels like, man, because I never did it before, never did it again. And in the moment, it was so surreal and weird that I just was like, look, it was another dodgy back pass from Sylvan Diston. I was ready for it. I knew the bobble was going to come. It was gale force winds, and I just stuck my foot through it like I did 1,000 times. And, our striker chased it down. Goalkeeper made a bad read, and it went over. It was just
It
weird,
was horrible.
Man. It was weird,
Poor
man.
Adam Bogdan. You just see him
man.
looking at the ball going, oh, no.
Well, once it caught that bounce, it was game over. It was like, wow. This thing.
You blamed Danny Shittu for yours, didn't you, Ben?
It was Danny Shittu's fault, mate. He went to header it and then went, yeah, unlucky.
Do you know what? I
remember it
watched
as
that
well.
the other day. It was every Premier League goalkeeper's goals.
Yeah.
And it was something on social media I was watching, so I saw both of them.
I still get tagged in it every year.
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Every
Do you
year.
know what? I watched it and you could see it.
Yeah,
you could see it.
mate. I know,
You could see it. So yeah, Danny, come on. Tim, you played at a time at Everton where you had some pretty legendary players in there. You've mentioned a couple already. Sylvan Distan, who I think is criminally underrated.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Like criminally underrated.
Yeah.
Talk to us about some of those players and.
Go on, give us a shout. Shout us a few out.
I haven't got them written down. So, like Timmy Cahill, we put a question
Mikel
out.
Arteta.
Yeah.
Oh, would you play with
Stephen
Mikel?
Pienaar, yeah.
Stephen Pienaar.
Oh, wow, yeah. Leon Osman?
Leon Osman, Yakubu, yeah.
Leighton Baines.
So the cool thing about the amazing thing about Everton, credit David Moyes, who is just if he brought me to the gates of hell, I'd run through it for him. He is
Wow.
brilliant. He's brilliant, and it was at a time, and football moves quick, and it's a business on both sides, and that it's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. We had such stability at Everton. When you look at, and I don't know how often this happens. In my time at Everton, in the 10 years, and then successfully after I left, Tony Hibbert had plus 10 years. Leon Osman plus 10 years. Myself plus 10 years. Leighton Baines, Jagielka, and now Seamus Coleman. And so those are all consecutively, that's 7 or 8 players that David Moyes signed or brought through, the youth team that have carried on. I mean, I just don't know where that happens, where you're talking about like a regular at a football club.
week in, week out.
Week in, week out. Some of these are captains as well that for, 8 players, it was special. And we had, it was a time where we were tough to beat. And then David Moyes, would spend his money very responsibly, and he would bring in a couple match winners, And again, he did it right. He's not going out to get the best player in Europe. He's, Steven Pienaar changed managers at Borussia Dortmund. He fell out. Boom, he comes to us. Mikel Arteta brings him from Rangers. Obviously, the Scottish connections that David Moyes had, and he knew he couldn't get it wrong, because the way that we spent at Everton, it wasn't huge. A lot of times we had to sell in order to buy, so we knew we couldn't get it wrong. And so we spent months and years deliberating on players, but he always got the right one.
And was there any players, again, similar to United, was there any players that you came and you thought, that surprised you and you thought, wow, you are
a baller,
you're another level?
Pienaar was special, and obviously that connection that he had with Leighton Baines. We had some wrong-ins at Everton as well, and I think those are the ones that stood out more than anything. Like just
name names.
Yeah, I will.
You've got all the slang words. All the slang words. It's brilliant.
I will name names. Like we had the 2 that stand out are, one was horrific, Royston Drenthe.
Oh God, yeah. Real Madrid.
So we're thinking like we're there. We're Everton. I just told you who we are. I just told you our blue shirts, rolled sleeves up. These are just like worker bees, In comes Royston and like Rolls Royces to the training ground, balls in with his shoes untied. He's having to run the perimeter of the training ground because he's always late. His eyes are half open. It's like, and thinking, you're just at Real Madrid. What are you doing here? This is weird, man. He ended up bringing like, I guess you never heard of CCTV or something, and he ends up coming to the training ground in the middle of the night with like friends, and they're in the hot tub, and it's just like you're just thinking like, you're at the wrong club here, mate. and then at the end, fair play to Roberto Martinez, who I love as well, brilliant manager. Oh my God, like tactically one of the best. He ends up bringing in Samuel Eto'o, and I'm thinking, I was thinking again, mate. I think you're at the wrong club, by the way. I think you're at the wrong club with the watches and the cars. I mean, I think he's one of the richest footballers ever played. And I was thinking, this ain't the dressing room for you. You know what I mean? Because like he was in the Abramovich Chelsea dressing room where everyone's putting their watches on the table, and I'm thinking, a lot of lads here, mate, who don't really care that you have a watch or a car. You know what I mean? So those are the 2. But Royston, wow, you could write a book on that.
Getting his family in.
No, man, it was strange, man.
Hot tub in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Getting chef to cook him up with something.
Oh, that's so good.
Did you play with Landon Donovan?
Yes, yeah. He was there with two loan spells. Yeah,
because he was kind of obviously yourself, Brad Friedel from goalkeeping point of view, but he was a trailblazer for like outfield players, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant for Everton because again, it was one of those like. It was only on loan. It was a short period of time. You knew the beginning, you knew the end. David Moyes loved him, and he was just a different class. And so he came in, and there wasn't really no like betting in period because he came January 1, and he had to leave by March something. So it was only going to get 8, 9, 10 games. He was brilliant for us, and the fans loved him for that.
10 years at Everton. I'm pretty sure you've got only good things to say about Everton. Left as 37-year-old, went to Memphis, back to the MLS. Okay, what was the difference then from leaving the MLS sort of, 10, 13, 14 years prior, and then coming back? How much had it improved?
Yeah, so I signed with Colorado, the Rapids.
Colorado.
The difference, it was amazing, the difference. So 96 was the inception, I think, of Major League Soccer. I signed for the MLS in 98. Played 5 years and then went to England. And in that time, before I left, there was only one football-specific stadium. right? So everyone else played in NFL stadiums or college grounds or whatever. And when I got back, and I obviously saw the transition playing for the national team, when I got back, so many teams basically, it was a prerequisite. If you're going to own a team, if you're going to buy a franchise, you must have stadium rights in place. So they already had done that in terms of creating this atmosphere. And when I left, soccer was very much we could go to an away game, not a big crowd. Everybody wanted your autograph. It didn't matter if it was the away supporters. They were just happy to see soccer. When I got back, it was horrible in the best way. You'd go to Seattle and they hated you. And I thought, this is what I'm used to. This is what I like. You bring out more of this, like a proper football atmosphere. So in that sense, it changed. They had these supporters groups had formed. Certain pubs near the ground would be official team supporter pubs. They had supporter sections. They were filling these stadiums. They had their own stadium. So soccer basically got an identity in the time that I was away, and it was brilliant to see.
So did another, 3 or 4 years? I think it was 3 or 4 years back here in the MLS. Eventually hanging up the boots. Was it? What was it that made you make that decision? Because I've had a few sort of retired footballers on. I always like to know the exact moment or the exact point. Was there something that happened where you went, that'll do now, that'll do?
Two answers to that. So I always 40 felt like a good number, and when you get
It's a good number, mate.
when you get to our age, it's just like I don't know what makes that decision. I'm lucky; I didn't have any career-ending injuries. I didn't have any of that, so I was kind of able to be like, "Oh, I'm going to sign this contract." 40's always felt like a good number. I've kind of had my eye on that for the last decade, and then I get to my late 30s, and my current contract takes me to 40. I'm like, this works. This feels good. I wanted to do it on my own terms. I felt like I deserved that, and so that was basically my contract was running out. I announced it at the beginning of the season like I wasn't going to renew my contract. It was done. I will say though that leading up to my last game was probably like 5 games before the last game. We played in New York. We had actually a new manager, old manager got sacked, a new manager, and his first game we won. We're in at New York Red Bull, which was my old former club, and Bennett had all gone wrong. And I never had. You talk about injuries, never had injuries. I have all these muscle injuries, and I'm like taping myself together, and I'm kicking. So I end up starting the game, and I'm not even training at this point. I'm like training like Monday or Tuesday, and then like I'm just on the bike, and because I'm a veteran and a captain, they know
let you do it.
I'm going to get to the game and I'm perform. And Ben, I'm kicking right footed, and I'm diving, and now my right groin is hanging off my calf, so I'm going to kick left footed. This is throughout the 90 minutes. Wow. So I kick left footed. Now that's starting to hang off. I'm like, well, I got to go back to the right, but this thing's going. Like something's gonna my hamstring. Everything's hurting, and I remember we won 2-0. And I got to the dressing. My goalkeeper coach Chris Sharp in Colorado, brilliant, top. And I got in the dressing room, and the dressing room's buzzing, and I'm sitting there, and I'm bawling my eyes out in my towel. And he came over to me, and he said, "You're done, aren't you?" I said, "I'm finished." No, it was that moment. Wow. I ended up going on to play like another 2 games at the end of the season because my last game I took a month off, but he knew it. I looked at him and said, I can't get out on the field anymore. I can't even perform. So that was it.
There you go.
Wow,
there we go. That's the answer that we always want. Honestly, it's the one moment.
It was a moment. It was a single moment.
I love that, Tim. Yeah. Talk to me about the World Cup, okay? Yeah. So not far away now. America in England's league. So the England game is actually the day after Thanksgiving, okay? So I've done a little bit of research. Actually, one of my American friends told me this today. He said that the England-USA game is the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. And the day after Thanksgiving is normally like a huge sports day.
Black Friday, yeah.
It's a huge sports day. However, there's no sports on that day, apart from the England-America game. So
we blocked it off.
Theoretically, then, this could become one of the most watched games in American history, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It probably will be, given while we're here, that the importance and the enormity of what the Premier League is. Yeah. We understand as American football fans, we know all the players. We know how big England is in terms of on the world stage. So, also coupled with the fact that the U.S. men's national team is hugely popular, I would imagine that the viewing figures will be shattered.
What are your hopes for the USA men's team this World Cup?
It's a weird one because I think I could see them getting out of the group, and I can see them not. It's a strange one. Look, the first game against Wales is the most important in my experience in the World Cup. 4 points could get you through. You have to be in with a shout on the last day.
Yeah.
So they have to. They can't walk away from the Wales game with no points.
Yeah.
If they get 3, brilliant, happy days.
Huge.
If they get 1, I don't see them getting a result against England. But again, that's okay because they then go into the last game against Iran, knowing that some of the math have to work. When you're on 4 points, that you need some other things to go your way, but you can get through as the second team on 4 points. So it at least gives you this, because if you don't get the result the first game, it's just like you're almost like dead man walking kind of thing, and you want to get to that third game still with like we've got it all to play for, and that'll give them huge momentum.
And we can't talk about World Cups without talking about 2014.
Yeah.
So playing against Belgium, right? Unfortunately, went on to lose the game.
Yeah.
However, set a World Cup record, right? Belgium that game had 39 shots, right? 18 of them were on target. 18 of them were on target, saving 16 of them. What are your memories of that game? That's just mad, isn't it?
Brilliant. Yeah, it's mad. And I'll get to mindset in a second because obviously as a goalkeeper you'll understand this. But I had a good season prior to the World Cup. I felt like I was in good form. The team was in good form. It was the best U.S. team that I played on. And yeah, that's Belgium's golden generation. Did they ever reach their heights? We'll see at this World Cup. But I mean, the players they had were unreal, and they battered us. But it was backs to the wall stuff. Made a ton of saves. Felt in really good form. When I was growing up as a kid, Michael Jordan was everything. Still is. And he talked in the playoff series in the '90s. He said I was in the zone, and I think it was kind of the first time sports people had ever heard that. And then they've obviously since broken that down. And what did that mean? And he just talked about like things slowing down. And when I think about the game, Ben, I remember smells, and they were wearing red, and there was these blurry red shirts, but you're following the ball. I don't remember a lot from the game. Obviously now I see the highlights, but I don't remember a lot in the game. But it was all just kind of, you hear the murmur of the crowd, the smell of the grass, you see the players. But it was just, I was just kind of in flow, and it felt good, and I was making saves, and some of them were lucky, but after the game, I did an interview, and they said, "Oh, you said," I said, I didn't know. How many saves did I have? I had no idea. Because people often ask me, and I say this as a goalkeeper, our job is to put our players, our defenders, in a position to make sure that shots don't happen. Mm-hmm. Secondarily, if they happen, our job is to save it. Once we make that save or don't make that save, our job goes back to making sure our defenders are in positions to stop, right? So that's just a continuum. So nothing changed. When De Bruyne got down to one side, I talked to my center back, said, show him here, do that. And we go on. And so it was never like, well, now we're getting pelted, and I'm just going to stop doing what I do. It's just this continuum of trying
I've made 8 saves now.
Right. So you're always, because we're always thinking as a goalkeeper, we can solve this problem, and if we don't solve the problem, we still have to be a part of the solution continually until the game's over.
It's a nice feeling, though, when you have made those first 8 saves, and then you get this, I can't go wrong today. You don't get many of them, do you? Throughout your whole career, you won't get many of them, but when it's going for you and you are making these saves, and you might even be in the wrong position, but the guy scuffs it and you still manage to save it. And that was just that game, wasn't it? It's the best feeling in the world, though, isn't it?
It was. I made a save against Kevin Morales, who was my Everton teammate. I come racing out to the edge of the box. I was in no man's land. I had no business being that far out. But again, we were getting pelted, and I just went, and I leaned to the right. He opened up, hit it to the left, destined for the bottom corner. It caught the bottom of my stud. Caught the bottom of my metal stud, and it went out. And I thought, should have buried it. You should have buried it. You just get lucky.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It is, yeah.
Tim, you're an absolute superstar. We've got some quick fires before you go, mate, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Any hidden skills? Is there anything about Tim Howard we don't already know that you think, what? Do you play an instrument? Anything like that?
Boring. No, but I've given 3 really bad tattoos, so I'm going to say that's a skill. If someone wants me to give them a tattoo, I'm happy to do it.
You've done tattoos on people.
But they're terrible, so I'm going to say it's a little skill.
Okay. I got loads of crap ones.
I saw that.
You can give me a couple more.
I'm happy to.
That was when you were drunk, absolutely out your head, though. Favourite meal?
Pizza.
Nice. Where's best pizza?
New York City, Slice.
Better than Philly, yeah?
Yeah.
We were with somebody from Philly today who said Philly is much better than it.
No chance.
No, they didn't. They didn't. They said
drink?
it's better than West Coast.
Did he?
Yeah, I said LA.
Favorite drink?
Favorite drink?
Alcoholic drink.
Whatever you
Both.
want.
Yeah. Well, outside, I only drink mostly water. Outside that, bit of whiskey, bourbon.
Ooh, nice.
Nice. In the UK, which area of the country do you think, having played in them games, have got the maddest fans, the most passionate fans?
Oh man, Newcastle.
Yes.
Newcastle. It's amazing. I mean, it's a castle on a hill. It's up at the top, right? It's like fog going through it. Everyone's got a black and white kit. Most of them are sitting on it, and they have their top off. It's madness up there. It's madness.
Idols growing up.
Idols growing up, Michael Jordan. Yeah, I'm an American kid, and he grew up in the 80s, 90s. It was Jordan.
Favorite holiday destination?
Ooh, somewhere warm at the beach.
Anywhere warm will do. Basically.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah,
You're a warm guy, not going skiing or city break.
I do, but I prefer warm. Yeah.
I love this question. I love this one. Who was your first teenage crush?
Ooh, Paula Abdul, and if you know who that is,
Yeah.
Of course we know who Paula Abdul is. Yeah, of course we do.
Abdul.
What do you think you'd have done if you wasn't a footballer?
I would work in the NBA.
Yeah.
Basketball was my first love. I wouldn't be playing because I'm not that good enough. But yeah, I'd work in the NBA.
Biggest phobia?
Heights.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I've got a bit of that, to be fair. What is the oldest game or app that you have on your mobile phone? Is there something that you religiously go back to, like Candy Crush or something like that?
Fruit Ninja. Or
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, I have this block Tetris game, like blocks.
Yeah.
Like Tetris, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Best football match you've ever been to?
Played in or been to?
Been to. You can interpret
USA, Mexico in Azteca,
Oh,
in Mexico City.
how many does that hold?
120,000.
that. Wow.
The most famous person you've ever met?
Then Spike Lee.
Have you met Michael Jordan?
No, Spike Lee.
Did you ever have any superstitions whilst playing football?
It's way too many to count. Yeah, always put my right boot and glove on first, and then my left. Yeah,
Did you really? One of them?
always. Yeah,
I think most goalies have got
yeah. It was weird. Yeah.
A final question. From all of your years playing in England, if you had to pick one player to go on a night out with, who are you going out with?
Oh. Wow, that's an amazing question. All the players I play with. Well, Ronaldo, I don't even know if he goes a night out, but I'm going with him because he's the most famous. So for sure, Ronaldo.
Just for the pictures. So
yeah,
the next day you can
the yacht. I think our night out's on a yacht somewhere.
You ain't going to pay the bill either, mate.
Nah,
You'll be
bro,
fine.
nah.
You'll pick that one up. Mate, Tim Howard, you have been absolutely top class.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for breaking our abroad Fozcast virginity. Am I allowed to say that?
Duck. We'll go with Duck.
Okay, Duck, yeah. Either way, you've been top class. We always finish every episode, mate. Look into that camera and we say, up the Fozcast.
Up the Fozcast.
Up the Fozcast.
Well done, lads. Well done.
Well done.
Brilliant.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed the latest episode of the Fozcast. Don't forget to give us a follow on Spotify. Up the Fozcast.